Ladies, gentlemen, good morning. This is Germinal Van. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we are going to talk about the three paths to become an economist. I believe it was a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I made a post on my Instagram about the three ways to become an economist. So in this video, what I would like to do, in fact, is to go more extensively about this because I have many friends and acquaintances who reach out to me about how to become an economist. They've been following me. They look at my work, and I've always pride myself in the fact that I don't have a degree in economics, but I still managed to become one. So I'd like to make this video to inspire everybody else who want to become an economist, but they may not follow the conventional way. So it's important for to not just to give hope to people, but to let them know that it is possible to do so. So that's what I want to do in this video. So, what are the three ways to become an economist? But before I even dive into that, what is economics? Economics is first and foremost the science of decision making regarding production, consumption, distribution, and the transfer of wealth. So, people always make decisions about how they're going to produce goods or services within their organization, how they're going to allocate resources that will contribute to that production, how they're going to distribute the output for people to consume it. And economics is first and foremost how people create the wealth. What are the factors that contribute to the creation of wealth? So that's what economics is about. So anyone that is studying these elements is an economist. But now the question is how to become an economist. So, as I said, there are three ways. First, you have the academic economist, and you have the practitioner economist, and you also have the independent economist. So, we're going to start with the academic economist. The academic economist is generally the person that we is the people that we know. Usually when we use the word economist, you think of people like Milton Friedman, Friedrich von Hayek, uh, John Maynard Keynes, or Paul Samuelson, or I don't know, Robert Solow, all of these people. But those names that I mentioned, they all have one thing in common. They were all professors. They were all academics. So being an academic economist is, of course, the first way, which means you need to have at the very least a PhD in economics. So the academic economist is a professor, but he is also a researcher that works for think tanks. But with a master's degree in economics, you can already teach if you want, but you can only teach part time, which means you will be an adjunct professor. For those who want to actually pursue a degree in economics, uh, it is important to know that there are generally four courses you are going to take in order to complete your degree, and then the rest are electives. So these four courses are microeconomics, macroeconomics, mathematical economics, and econometrics. These are the four core courses you have to take in order to complete your degree. Of course, there are some schools they you will have like microeconomic theory, then you will have advanced microeconomic theory, then you will have macro and advanced macro, and etc. So some schools they divide the macro and micro into two courses each, so it's four courses total. And then on top of that, they will also divide econometrics into two. You will have econometrics 1 and econometrics 2. So econometrics 1 is generally about the basic elements of econometrics, the laws of probability, how to run a simple linear regression, a multiple linear regression, a little bit of time series, and then econometrics too. That's when it gets more advanced. That's some school may teach you a little bit of Bayesian econometrics. It depends, but I don't think they go all that far. But they will basically teach you like most advanced techniques in econometrics, like non-parameters, hypothesis testing, and stuff like that. So, in short, you have to take these four courses in order to complete your degree, whether it's a master's or a PhD. You have to take, once again, I repeat, microeconomics, macroeconomics, mathematical economics, and econometrics. I even forgot to mention that now for mathematical economics, they will basically teach you all the mathematical methods you need to apply economic theory to it, such as maxima, minima, optimization problems. So basically the use of linear programming. You will learn about sets. You will learn about some differential techniques in calculus, such as differential calculus, so derivatives. You may use some differential equations. It depends on the problem assigned to you. You also use some integration techniques. So that's what mathematical economics is about. So these are the four courses that you guys will take in total in order to complete your curriculum. But the important thing is that once you completed your PhD in economics, you're automatically an economist. That's a given. Even if you don't end up teaching, but the mere fact that you have a PhD in economics, that legitimizes you as a professional economist. So generally, people who have PhD, as you guys know, they teach. They become professors. Some are non-tenured, some are tenured, and you have others who work in think tanks. They do research in think tanks such as the Cato Institute or the Mises Institute or the Brookings Institute, and so on, or the Manhattan Institute. So people with PhDs work there if they don't necessarily feel like teaching. The second is the practitioner economist. So, who is the practitioner economist? The practitioner economist is the one who works in the industry, who works in the professional world. Usually, practitioner economists have a master's degree because graduate level is more rigorous than undergrad. In undergrad, for instance, they will teach you introduction to econometrics, whereas in grad school they will teach you real econometrics. And the reason why the people want practitioner economists to have a master's degree is because once you start working for a company, you're going to apply those statistical methods all the time. You're going to do a lot of forecasting. You're going to do a lot of predictions, predictive modeling. So it's important for you to have that skill. They're not going to teach you that skill. For them, you're supposed to know that. You're supposed to know how to apply these advanced statistical methods to practical issues. And those statistical methods you apply have to be based on a certain economic theory. So that's why the practitioner economist has generally a master's degree. You have, of course, some people who have a PhD. It depends on companies, of course. You have some companies that rather hire a PhD specifically in the finance industry. So people who work at mutual funds, banks, or hedge funds, they the managers there, they rather hire people who have advanced degrees because they want to make sure that these people know how to manipulate algorithm and create them and develop predictive models so that they can make decisions according to those models. So it's very intense, it's very rigorous. And the good thing about being a practitioner economist is that you can work pretty much in any industry. In fact, it is interesting because when you look at the way economics is being taught today, they don't even focus on economic theory. They don't focus on the history of economic theory. They don't focus on, for instance, why Keynesian economics exists. Like they don't necessarily teach you the historical background behind it. At school, what they teach you today is the techniques that you will need in order to work as a professional economist in the real world. That's what schools focus on. So they focus on teaching you all the basic mathematical techniques you need in economics, all the basic statistical techniques you need in economics. So you will see, for instance, that a course of mathematical economics, they don't even talk to you about an economic scenario. Basically, what they focus on is on teaching you the mathematical technique itself, how to do a derivative, how to do integration calculus, or how to solve a differential equation, or how to do linear programming and stuff like that. That's what they will focus on, because once you're out there applying for jobs, the employer, in his mind, knows that you're supposed to be familiar with these techniques. They're not going to train you on how to use them. To them, you're supposed to make a judgment call and know what to use in order to produce results. So the practitioner economist, as I said, works in pretty much any industry. He applies economic theory to whatever industry, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in finance or in business in general. That's what the practitioner economists do. For instance, they may hire an economist to determine how many, let's say, an airport hires an economist to determine how many passengers they may have in the next season based on the price of the flight ticket that they increase. So the economist will develop a statistical model to actually make the prediction. That's what it's about. So you have the good thing about being a practitioner economist is that you can work anywhere. You have people who work at the World Bank just with a master's degree in economics, and they do a lot of statistical modeling there. So that's what I like the most about being a practitioner economist is that you can work anywhere because what matters is in fact the skill rather than the actual knowledge of economic theory. The knowledge of economic theory is more for those who want to become academic economists. And the third way to become an economist is to become an independent economist. So, who is an independent economist? An independent economist is someone like me, someone who doesn't have a formal degree in economics from an accredited institution, and someone who did not work initially in as an economist. So that's what an independent economist is someone who hasn't done that but has produced work of economics. Is someone who has written books or published working papers and and articles with professional journals, but has no degree in economics. That's an independent economist. Let me give you some example of an independent economist. You have Adam Smith, the father of modern economics, or should I say the father of economic science, who was in fact a philosopher, a moral philosopher. You have Karl Marx, who is considered an economist, although he was also a philosopher. You have Gordon Tullock, who was a lawyer, but was considered an economist. He was even proud of the fact that he was an economist without having a degree in economics. He was nominated several times for the Nobel Prize but never won it. He wrote The Calculus of Consent and with James Buchanan. He published many papers with prestigious economic journals. and he never held a degree in economics. You also have uh, someone like Leonid Kantorovich, who was also a Nobel laureate, the Nobel laureate of 1975, who who was in fact a mathematician. He developed rigorous models of linear programming. He never had a degree in economics, but he won the Nobel Prize in economics because he developed those techniques that we can use in economics to solve optimization problems. So I can keep going on and give more names like Jan Tinbergen, the one of the founders of econometrics, who in fact had a degree in physics. So you see that the independent economist, in fact, is someone who does work in economics without having a degree in it. Even John Maynard Keynes did not have a degree in economics, in fact. He had a degree in mathematics. So it's very interesting that most economists that we know, the famous one, most of them are not formal economists in the proper sense of the term. They didn't have degrees in economics. They trained themselves in the field. So, of course, to become a an independent economist is in fact the hardest part because you don't have a degree in it. So you have to work twice as hard to prove your legitimacy in the profession. And then the way to prove your legitimacy in the profession, as I said, is to write books in economics, or should I say, on economic topics, to publish working papers on research platforms such as research papers in economics or the social science network research. ResearchGate is also a good way to get your work out there so that people can see the scientific work you do. But more importantly, is to publish with academic journals in economics because publishing with academic journals is very, very hard. You get rejections all the time. Even professors in economics get rejected all the time. And as I said in my post, you are in direct competition with academics because you have no degree, you're submitting papers to those journals, and you're competing directly with those professors who have been teaching economics for a very long time. So you're competing with them, hoping that your paper will get approved and published. So it is hard, but once your paper has been approved by the editor in chief, and then it went through the rigorous process of peer review, and the reviewers agree, and you get published, you are pretty much an economist because the people who review your paper are professional economists, and the review takes a long time. When you submit a paper, sometimes you gotta wait between 3 and 6 months before they get an answer back to you and tell you if they agree to publish you or not. So it's a process. It is not easy. I personally sent a ton of papers. They got rejected, but thank God the Journal of Economics and Econometrics agreed to publish my paper. So that gave me a lot of legitimacy, and I wrote many books in economics. And the other thing also is to participate in professional conferences and to be a member of economic organizations such as Econometrica or the American Economic Association or the Economic History Association or the Association or the American of Finance Association and stuff like that. So you have to be part of an organization, go to those events so that people will know who you are and you can present your work to them. Because once you're able to do that, you're getting your feet into the profession. You are one of them because you proved to them that you've done the work as they did too. So the good thing about being an independent economist is that you have more freedom. You have the freedom to work on what you want. You have the freedom to navigate within. How can I put it? You have the freedom to navigate within economic branches. Today you can work on labor economics, and then tomorrow you can decide to work on development economics, and another day you can decide to do economic history. So it depends. It depends on what you want to do, and you have that flexibility of doing it compared to someone who is a practitioner. Unless he quit his job to work on another firm, he has to do the same thing for that company so long as he's at that company. And for the academic economist, the professor, he has a specific research that he has to stick in, and he's becoming known for that. And one last thing I'd like to add regarding the independent economist is that there are organizations out there too that someone can be a member and pass a certification in order to become a certified economist. And this is for people who don't necessarily have a degree in economics. They are eligible for that. So you have the National Association of Business Economists. So this organization is accredited. They have an exam that if you pass it, you become a certified business economist. So it's called the CBE. And as a CBE, you can work for any business, and they will hire you and request your expertise when it comes to making business decisions. So they're expecting you to apply your knowledge of economic theory to uh, to their business. How economic theory will intertwine with the decision process to maximize the performance of the business. So I've looked at the exam of the CBE. You got to be ready for that because it's you have the exam is divided into, I believe, 3 or 4 parts. So the first part is a mixture of data analysis and econometrics, and the second part is macroeconomics and and microeconomics too. So these are the 3 parts that you will definitely have to study in order to pass the test. And I think the test is $250, but maybe they increase the price. I don't know. But the good thing about that is that all you need is a 4-year degree. You need to be in good standard, uh, and you need to pass a. There is a comprehensive oral exam you have to take in addition to the actual exam. So it's for people who surely have a degree in economics, and for people who also don't and want to become a certified economist. So it's a really good professional certificate to get in order to legitimize your credentials. So it's something that I definitely recommend. I intend to take this exam myself when I believe that the time is good enough for me to do so. And yes, so these are the 3 ways to become an economist. You can pick whatever you want. You can decide to get into academia. But academia is not the only way to become an economist. My point is that you don't need a PhD necessarily to prove that you're an economist. You can even without a degree, you can create your own consulting firm that focus on economics, and and you're an economist. Like you because you work on economic impact analysis and something like that. So you bringing recommendation and solving problems for people. Or you can simply write books, be an independent economist, write books, publish papers, and stuff like that. So there are many ways. There are many ways to become an economist. But personally, I fall more into uh, the number 3 and the number 2, and I don't think personally that I will go back to school and get a PhD in economics. I don't think it's necessary for me at this point. I already have a master's degree in politics. I taught myself pretty much let's say, a strong 85 to 90% of what needs to be known in economics. So I feel pretty comfortable uh, where I'm at in economics, and I can only maximize on that, increase my knowledge and performance in that. So yes, so it's more about like working as a practitioner, and I'm already an independent economist. But yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want. If teaching is what you want to do, or working for a think tank is what you want to do, then definitely go for uh, go for a PhD. But all I want you to know and understand is that a PhD is not a requirement in order to become a professional economist. All right, guys, thank you very much for listening to this. Let me know in the comment what you think, and and bring me new suggestions on what topics you want me to address in economics. I'm thinking of making another video that will solely focus on the importance of econometrics. I've made videos before about like me teaching econometrics, some techniques and stuff, but this time we'd like to talk more about the importance of econometrics and why people use it, even though it's not necessarily a perfect field of study that predicts things accurately all the time. But it's still important that I think it's essential to talk about this. So let me know in the comment what you guys think. Until then, see you guys.